Hey friends, it's Erica from Erica and Julia Talk Movies. So I'm here for a special New Year's greeting to say goodbye to 2020, the year we all hated, and say hello to 2021. Every year I put together my top 15 films with the caveat that these are films that I watched in 2020 and these are films that I saw for the first time. So that means the movie didn't have to come out during 2020, which is a good kind of list system for this year and all the problems the coronavirus has certainly caused for the movie industry. Also, you can't see every film that comes out, and some of us, were born in the 80s, and many films came out before I was born. So, to kick things off, I'm going to talk about number 15. At number 15 is a movie called The Fits. It explores the life of a young girl who joins a dance team, and she and her fellow dancers are afflicted with a mysterious illness. It looks at things such as being a Black girl, growing up in poverty, the sense of community that you can derive by these like extracurricular activities, and of course, really, what happens during puberty and the changes that everyone goes through. Coming in at number 14 is the film Losing Ground. This film is from the 80s, but was not actually released as a movie until 2012, which was after the director's death. Losing Ground, it features two professors who are having some marital problems in their life, and they go for their summer vacation home, and things happen. Coming in at number 13 is the film Jennifer's Body. This is a horror movie about the perils of being a woman in some ways, but also about a sexual coming of age, a sexual assault, and what sort of happens when some magic gets involved and what can happen as somewhat of a revenge fantasy, but also the greater implications of that. Coming in at see what number are we at? I can't even keep track already. Coming in at number 12 is Kiki's Delivery Service. Yes, I had not seen this Miyazaki movie. It's about a little girl who is a witch in training, and she starts her own delivery service. The film explores themes of finding yourself. It also looks at depression and, what it really takes when you move somewhere new that you've never lived and set up your whole life. Coming in at number 11 is Singing in the Rain. Yes, I am not a musical person, and I finally watched Singing in the Rain, probably because of the Flash episode where the Flash falls asleep watching Singing in the Rain, which is canonically in television, his favorite movie. And then there's a whole episode based on it. So I watched this, and few movies out there put a smile on my face from start to finish, and Singing in the Rain is definitely one of those. Kathy, Cosmo, and Dawn are my OT3. They're fabulous together. All right, so number 9 is Parasite. Yep, a film that won the well-deserved Best Picture at the Oscars in 2019. This film looks at poverty, and it looks at class structure and provides a critique about that, but also in Bong Joon-ho, the director, his eye towards exploring those themes, but sometimes it's a little wacky, sometimes it's heartfelt, sometimes it's tender, sometimes it's terrifying, and it's a lot of fun. You should just watch it. No spoilers. Coming in at number 9 is the lesbian classic Desert Hearts, about a professor who goes to Reno when back in the day one had to go there because the divorce laws in Nevada were less strict than everywhere else, or you could actually get a divorce in Nevada. Anywho, she goes and stays on a ranch to establish residency there, and she meets a captivating woman. And, well, things proceed. Coming in at number 8, Howl's Moving Castle, another Miyazaki film. He is definitely the director dominating my 15 list here. Howl's Moving Castle is about a young girl who gets a curse on her, which ages her, and she winds up at a sorcerer's house, and they kind of have to save the whole universe. So, themes we're all very familiar with. Coming in at number 7 is the movie Saving Face from director Alice Wu. This movie is another lesbian classic film. And you can hear my cats, they're getting really excited about Saving Face. They really want to tell you their opinion from the other side of the door. But this movie is about a Chinese American woman and the struggles she is going through to express who she is, find love, and deal with her mother. Has some great themes in it. Okay, let the cat in. Obviously, she wants it. And at number 6, we have the film God's Own Country. I really love this film because as someone who is queer and grew up in a rural area, it's really important for me to see that sort of representation on screen. And this movie is about a Yorkshire farmer and his kind of struggles to take over his family farm and the Romani farmhand that he hires on. There's a little romance in it because, that's how I am. Number 5 is The Old Guard. Speaking of romance and violence and action, The Old Guard is based on a comic book, and it definitely has my superhero movie of the year pick. It did come out in 2020 on Netflix, so you can all go watch it if you haven't seen it. And it features the idea that there are some immortals living among us, and they have tried throughout the years to establish a kind of benevolence in helping people, but there's many questions about what they could do to help, and they are captured, spoiler, for medical experiments, because if you think about it, cracking immortality might be one way they can help people. Number 4 is Rome Open City. This is the oldest movie on the list. It came out right after World War II, and it is about Italian resistance fighters. And this movie is really amazing to me because in America, we have a really hard time dealing with any of our major events in movies and films, right? It'll be 20 years since 9/11 in 2021, and we still don't have a definitive 9/11 film, right? And Rome Open City literally filmed the year after the war ended and Mussolini was defeated. And the film explores, what actually happened to the people who lived in Rome, what happened to those resistance fighters, what happened to the religious clergy and the people who stood up to the Nazis, but also, really what the fabric of the society was. And it's an amazing movie with incredible acting. Coming in at number 3, it's kind of a cheat. the Watchmen series, which I don't know why a miniseries counts as a film, but it does. I am someone who has read the Watchmen comic. I watched the unfortunate Zack Snyder film from like a decade ago. And what I really think that the Watchmen TV show does is it contextualizes the book, what's in the book, and then brings it forward. And it adds layers and depths to the characters that you don't normally see when doing an adaptation. The acting is amazing. Regina King is the main character. She knocks it out of the park. I mean, she's incredible in general, but I think that this year, this miniseries really pushed her. And, it is phenomenal when a piece of pop culture can push people to learn about history in real life, and how this show uncovered the Tulsa massacre that happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and really opened people's eyes to something that they hadn't heard about, because it's not in our history books, unfortunately, and it was one of the biggest massacres in the United States. So phenomenal work. Watchmen is well worth your time. There's some great plot reveals. Even if you aren't someone who's read the comic book, and you can totally skip that Zack Snyder film if you do. But if you do want to get into the text, I would just recommend reading the comic book, not watching the film. All right. So number 2 is yet another lesbian classic film that I hadn't seen till 2020, which is The Watermelon Woman. This film reminded me of my favorite type of podcasts, which are the ones that explore a theme and go to unexpected places. So in this film, the main character, who is played by the director, Cheryl Dunn, she is trying to figure out, I'm a film student. I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with my thesis and how I want to go forward with this film that I want to make. And the film digs into a true history of a fictional character that was made up for this movie called The Watermelon Woman, and uncovers and unravels all these facts in community, and it looks at queerness, and it looks at the intersections of race, and there's some wonderful 90s fashion. At one point they go to a lesbian bar for karaoke night, and it's just amazing. All right, and drum roll. My number 1 pick for 2020 of movies I saw for the first time in 2020 is the movie Knives Out from director Rian Johnson. I love a whodunit. I love a mystery. I love one that keeps you guessing right till the end. I love one that engages my brain and is making me think about a ton of angles with a bunch of characters who could have been the murderers. It also has a sharp class critique, which so many of these whodunit movies are, our stories are really high society, and they're in a big mansion and everyone's really wealthy, and the motivation is usually always money. And it's not that this doesn't have those things, but Johnson really elevates it in his script, and all the acting is incredible. The, cast of, the cast is just out of this world phenomenal. So I hope you all enjoyed this little bit of video content, and watch lots of films next year. Here's 15 that I really enjoyed watching in 2020, and maybe you should check out in 2021. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to hear more from me and more from my compatriot Julia, we do a weekly podcast called Erica and Julia Talk Movies. You can find that at Patreon at patreon.com/emcgillivray. That's EMCGILLIVRAY. Thanks so much. And thanks, Fern, for all your little cat noises. Bye.